Well, thanks everybody for joining today. I had a bunch of different jokes for weather today, and I don't know which one to use. So we're just gonna. My boss, he says he can't complain about rain in California, so we're not going to complain about rain, but we can complain about the wind. We can complain about the cold, but it's also a really great day to actually announce, because there's some sun outside, one of California's most abundant resources and most plentiful and amazing resources, other than its people, to announce a Solar-Over-Canals event. So my name is Adam Nichols. I am the Principal Deputy Regional Director for this great region of ours, California Great Basin. Emphasize the great in Great Basin. And I am the MC for today's event. Today we're going to announce a really unique opportunity afforded by the Inflation Reduction Act to study, design, and implement solar projects over water conveyance projects. This announcement will highlight the partnership between Reclamation, San Luis Delta Mendota Water Authority, UC Merced, private industry, and the Biden-Harris administration's commitment to investing in America agenda, which is making historic investments in climate resiliency. Through investments like these, with generational funding at hand, thanks to the dynamic transformative laws of the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law and the Inflation Reduction Act, the Biden-Harris administration is investing in our Western communities and building a resilient future in the face of a changing world. There is lots to learn from this effort, but much more to gain, including reducing losses from evaporation, increasing solar production energy, and serving as a non-chemical solution to aquatic plant growth, and so much more. We have a really fantastic list of people here to talk about solar panels over canal. They're going to do a much better job than me. But before I do that, one of the things I've learned as an MC is that you're supposed to tell really bad jokes. I started off with a bad joke, but before we jump into the guests, we're going to tell an even worse joke, okay? All right. So a solar panel, a canal, and a pump walk into a bar. The bartender says, "Hey, fellas, what do you have?" Solar panel says, "I'll have power." The canal says, "I'll have water." And the pump says, "I just want to move it." The bartender looks up and says, "Damn it." All right. You all can use that. All right. Now, without further ado, I'd like to ask the Department of the Interior's very own Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary for Water and Science, Michael Brain, to come to the podium.
Thank you very much, Adam. Commissioner Tootin, Congressman Huffman, Congressman Costa, Regional Director Stock, Director Nemeth, Chairman Michael, and Governor Newsom, thank you all for being here today. It's a beautiful day. Good afternoon, and thank you everyone for joining us today as we celebrate major innovative progress through President Biden's Investing in America agenda. My name is Michael Brain, and I'm the Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary for Water and Science at the Department of the Interior. At the department, we know that the time to act on climate is now. From coastal towns to rural farms to urban centers and tribal communities, climate change poses an existential threat, not just to our environment, but to our health, our communities, and our economic well-being. And as we all know, the climate crisis has left the vast majority of the western United States experiencing drought or abnormally dry conditions. This has culminated in low water levels across the West, putting a strain on people and our businesses, on our wildlife and their habitats, and on our very livelihoods. In the wake of severe drought conditions, the Biden-Harris administration is bringing every tool and every resource to bear, ensuring that we both minimize the impacts of drought and develop a long-term plan to facilitate conservation and economic growth, because no community should be left behind. Through President Biden's Investing in America agenda, we are bringing $13 billion in new historic resources to address the dual challenges of drought and climate change. And we're partnering with local communities, with states and tribes to get it done. As part of this investment, thanks to the Inflation Reduction Act, today we are thrilled to announce that we are investing $19 million from President Biden's Investing in America agenda for innovative solar energy projects. This will further build resilience to climate change and expand the nation's clean domestic energy production. The Delta Mendota Floating Solar Project will receive $15 million to allow Reclamation, the Authority, and the University of California, Merced to assess the impacts of floating photovoltaic solar arrays on the Delta Mendota Canal. We are also funding 2 other projects in Utah and Oregon, respectively. This initiative will serve as a 5-year demonstration of data collection and monitoring to evaluate the technical capability, economic feasibility, and viability for full-scale implementation for both Reclamation and the district. Data gathered from these projects will help support solar expansion and allow researchers to assess the viability, costs, and benefits of solar-over-canal technologies. These projects truly are innovation and creativity at work to meet the moment, and they showcase just exactly what we can accomplish when we come together with states, tribes, and local communities to solve these big problems. Our shared priority is to continue the momentum and, in partnership with local communities, states, tribes, help build resilient communities to protect our water supplies for people and the natural environment. I can't wait to see what we can all accomplish together. Thank you so much. Thank you, Adam.
All right. Well, thank you, Pete Asbrain. Barnstorming throughout the West and shining a bright light on the accomplishments of Reclamation and its partnerships, I welcome Commissioner Camille Kalimlim-Tootin to the podium.
What a beautiful day in California. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Camille Kalimlim-Tootin. I'm the Commissioner of the Bureau of Reclamation. I am honored to be joined here today with the department, with Pete Asbrain, as well as our many federal, state, and regional partners to celebrate this incredible project. It's good to see you, Governor. Hello, Congressman Huffman, Congressman Costa, and to our partners with the San Luis Delta Mendota Water Authority, and my friend and partner with the California Department of Water Resources, Director Nemeth. As with so much of our work, Reclamation could not achieve our mission without the valuable engagement of our partners. We're so grateful for the tremendous partnerships that have led to today's progress, for your collaboration, your ingenuity, and your commitment to building a better future. Water is essential to everything we do, feeding families, growing crops, powering our agricultural communities, and sustaining wildlife and safeguarding our sovereign nation's practices. As a result, any investment in our water infrastructure is an investment in our future. It's an investment in an economic opportunity, job creation, the health of our families, and a step forward in responding to the intensifying effects of climate change and aridification. As you've already heard, the knowledge gained from these 3 Solar-Over-Canal projects will inform the future deployment of this technology on a broader scale. Research such as this, funded by the $19 million from the Inflation Reduction Act, represents the continued momentum from President Biden's Investing in America agenda to accelerate the clean energy build-out. This investment will fund the installation of solar panels and irrigation canals to study the technology for future larger-scale implementation here in California, as well as 2 other projects in Oregon and Utah. Researchers hope to identify the best design for floating photovoltaic cells in moving water and identifying any maintenance issues for canals. So this is really an opportunity for us to learn, to be able to learn about this technology, to see what works, and to be able to move forward in the future. I also want to express Reclamation's appreciation of the North Unit Irrigation District of Madras, Oregon, the Weber Basin Water Conservation District of Layton, Utah, for their participation in researching this renewable energy. Because today's announcement represents the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th projects we're funding under this new initiative. And last year, I joined our first project, the Gila River Indian Community, as we celebrated the first Solar-Over-Canal project in the Western Hemisphere over the Casablanca Canal. Again, these projects will help us learn to be able to move forward in the future. At the Bureau of Reclamation, our mission is to deliver water and power in an environmentally and economically sustainable manner for the American West. Thanks to President Biden's Investing in America agenda, we have historic new resources that deliver on this mission. Since the law was signed, Reclamation has committed nearly $3 billion to over 425 projects. Just yesterday, I was in the Yuma Valley in America's Salad Bowl, announcing $25 million for multi-species habitat conservation projects that help to rebuild the ecosystem along the Colorado River. So I'm so excited to be here in the Central Valley today, in this agricultural region, to add 3 more to the list, including this project. And it takes all of us working together to address the significant drought impacts that we see in the West. Reclamation is proud to support these projects that demonstrate how we are leading by example to drive clean, healthy, and resilient operations. Thanks for being here with us today to celebrate this occasion, and turn it back to you, Adam.
Well, thank you, Commissioner. Next up, I would like to invite the Honorable Congressman Jim Costa of the California's 21st Congressional District to the podium. Oh, you're already here.
Thank you, Michael. There's a lot of good reasons on why I'm excited to be here this afternoon. First of all, with the indispensable Camille Touton. But there are a lot of other important, critical partners in this effort. Our new best friend, Carl Stock. We'll be looking forward to working with you, Carl. If Camille is indispensable on the federal level, Carla Nemeth is indispensable, as you know, Governor, at the state level. Their expertise, their experience, and their passion to address California's long-term water needs and the nation's water needs are well known. We also have other incredible folks here from our water managers on the east side and the west side who I've had the privilege and honor to work with for many years. So what this is really is the A-team that we have here. And I want to thank my colleague, Congressman Jared Huffman, for making the journey here and touring the San Joaquin River restoration effort earlier today, efforts that he and I have worked on together. And he, for many years, talked about the ability to use solar voltaic panels as a means of not only generating power but conserving water. And we're now dealing with these pilot projects. Thank you, Jared, for your passion and your desire. I would be remiss if I did not say that it is always a pleasure to have Governor Gavin Newsom here in the Valley. When he first started off a few years back on this stuff, I told him what I tell all folks running statewide, that is, you got to come to the Valley, and then you got to come back to the Valley, and then you got to come back to the Valley some more, and it just is not a flyover. Let me give him all the shout outs and kudos in the world, because the governor has done just that during his time. He has focused not only on areas in terms of housing and health care, but a couple years ago talked about an effort to use all the water tools in our water toolbox to develop over a period of time 4 million acre-feet of water to create the sustainability for all of California. And that's why he's here today, to reiterate and double down on the means to look at expanding existing reservoirs, doing the sort of conservation efforts for our conveyance facilities, focus on recharging our water needs and reusing water, and desalinization where it's applicable on the coast. All of these water tools in our water toolbox are really critical to our success to putting California in the 21st century to a goal of water sustainability for every region of California. Now, my chief of staff said, now be short and concise. That's something I find hard to do. And she says, if you use, Kathy Mahan, if you use 1 or 2 statements and you repeat them, the press may catch on. So what is this all about? It's about investing in America. Why? Because we have not been doing the sort of investment that we've needed a long time ago. We're living off our parents' and grandparents' generation. The governor understands that. Jared understands that. And most importantly, the Biden-Harris team understand that. And that's why over the last 3 years, with the last Congress, we've done more to invest in America's infrastructure than any previous administration. You'd have to go back to the Johnson years in the 1960s to look at the level of investments that we're making in water, in transportation, in infrastructure, in broadband. All of these areas in healthcare is a reflection of a president who has a vision for the long term. And I suspect that all of you need to understand that it's easy to talk about goals. We know what the last administration talked about, investing in infrastructure. It was our investment infrastructure week, month, and it never happened. The investment structure that we're talking about here, not only the $1.2 trillion bipartisan package, but also the Inflation Reduction Act and the CHIPS Act, and the list goes on and on. Working with states. The governor knows this very well, and he's a terrific spokesman on behalf of how we work together, but it starts with willing to appropriate the dollars to make the necessary investments to do the sort of ability that we're dedicating here today. These pilot projects, I think, will go a long ways in other efforts to ensure that California's water needs are met well into the 21st century as we invest in transportation, healthcare, and other important investments. So this is exciting. Are you excited? I'm excited. I'm excited for a lot of reasons. The governor's here. That's reason enough to be excited. But also for all of you and your hard work, because none of this gets done by itself. It really is a partnership. It's a partnership with our federal team. It's a partnership with the state, and it's a partnership with our local water agencies that are well represented here today, for people who care. Because at the end of the day, it's this. It's not only investing in our infrastructure, but it's investing in America. It's investing in California. It's investing in communities like Los Banos on the west side of this valley, like places like Visalia and Fresno on the east side of this valley, and everywhere in between. Because this is about the environment, this is about our urban water needs, and this is about agriculture. These are the three critical elements for California: our environment, our urban water needs, and our agriculture. Because water, where water flows, food grows. It is the undeniable critical element in sustainability of not only the future of our valley, our state, and our nation. And with climate change taking place, and that's nice of the symbiotic relationship here when we talk about energy and conserving water. With climate change, there are a lot of places in this planet that aren't going to have the water needs to be sustainable. And we should never, ever take that for granted. So we got a great group of projects here, state and federal partnering together, and I'm excited to be a part of this. We got more work to do, but I want to thank Camille and the Biden-Harris team for being here today. We got more projects for you, by the way. And the governor has his list as well. So let's keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Michael. And you got your next bit of humor?
Sure.
Better than damn it, I hope. Thank you very much. I don't know if I got the soundbite in, but anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Congressman Costa, and go Bulldogs. Is there a better joke than damn it? Okay. Anyway, moving on. Our next speaker today, I'd like to invite the Honorable Congressman Jared Huffman from California's 2nd Congressional District to the podium, coming all the way down from the far northwest reaches of California. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. So, Adam, he asks for another joke, and you introduce me? It's great to be with all of you. I'm very honored to be here with my friend Jim Costa, who is a longtime leader in California Water, one of the most senior members of the Agriculture Committee as well, really the go-to leader for California and much of the rest of the country on that very important committee. Governor Newsom, it's great to be with you, and Camille, to you and your team at Reclamation, thank you for this. Thank you for all of your leadership and great work. I really wanted to be here to celebrate these historic investments in Western water infrastructure. And yes, I am the congressman from the North Coast, so I represent the Trinity River, some of which is flowing in the Delta-Mendota Canal right now. I was joking with Jim Costa that I did not come down here to try to take my Trinity River water back, but I am here to celebrate a really exciting, really multiple federal investments, one of which is really look into the future. This idea of putting photovoltaic solar over canals makes so much sense, and we've been talking about it for so long. And like so many other things with the Biden-Harris administration, we're finally doing more than talking about it. We're actually making it happen. I love the way this pilot project, which is getting 15 million of the 20 million that we've dedicated to this here in California. I think that's appropriate. We are the leaders here, so thank you, Commissioner, for recognizing that. But the way that we're doing this project, partnering with Governor Newsom in the state of California, with UC Merced, with the private sector leaders who are part of this, sharing data, trying out different technologies. This is such a thoughtful and intelligent way to move forward on this, and we're all very excited to see how it goes, figure out which of these technologies works the best, and then scale it up because the benefits are so great. When I first got to Congress, I wanted to do a Western water infrastructure bill, and I thought a good way to begin that would be to kind of crowdsource the best ideas, because I wanted to focus on cutting edge stuff. One of the things we just kept getting was this: why do we not put photovoltaic solar over our canals? The evaporative losses, the clean energy, putting that clean energy close to pumps, which we need to move water around. We're sitting right here in the shadow of some really big pumps. But it's taken a long time to get here. So I am just thrilled that we are bringing the future right here to California. The other big federal investment, though, involves stuff that was built in the 1960s. And we're celebrating that here today. The pumps that we just toured, this forebay behind us, San Luis Reservoir, all of the different infrastructure associated with it has served California so well for so long, but we have aging infrastructure that desperately needs investment too, and we are making that investment as well thanks to the Biden-Harris administration and their leadership. So I am thrilled to be part of this celebration, and Governor, Jim, Commissioner, all of you, thank you for making this happen, and I hope that we can continue to move these historic investments forward. Thanks, Adam.
All right, well, thank you, Congressman. Next up, I have a person I get to work with almost every day, and I'm really excited that he's here to be part of this and help with this announcement. Regional Director Carl Stock.
Thanks, Adam. It's an honor to be here with all of you today. Really great things have been said about this project. I'd like to add just a couple of thoughts. When I first started my career with Reclamation 23 years ago, one of the first things I worked on was helping to craft some testimony about a bill on desalination and advanced water treatment. And it strikes me that the way we were talking about advanced water treatment and desalination 23 years ago is very much the same way we are talking about the solar panels over canals today. And in 23 years, we have taken that science and that research and we put it in action. And today, desalination and advanced water treatment are a critical part of our water supply. We've talked a lot about partnerships and really appreciate the advocacy of Congressman Huffman for this concept. The strong support of him and Congressman Costa for the Inflation Reduction Act and the inclusion of this $25 million for Solar-Over-Canals in that act. I have full confidence that 23 years from now, we will be seeing Solar-Over-Canals as a critical part of our power supply and actually a critical part of our water supply by reducing evaporation. So I could not be more excited about this. A final thought. Taking cutting-edge technology that is not yet completely proven and putting it into practice, that takes a lot of courage to do. And our partner, the San Luis Delta Mendota Water Authority, has stepped up to do that. It's not a guarantee of success. We're testing this. And I really appreciate their willingness to step up and take that on. And I am confident that with these kinds of efforts, we will turn solar-over-canals into a critical part of our energy and power supply. A final thought. In 1950, we were investing about $45 per capita in infrastructure as a country. That's what built the Central Valley Project. And the pumping station we're sitting in today, the reservoir that's behind us, the canals that deliver water to the Central Valley, that's what built that. In 2020, we were investing about $15 per capita in infrastructure. With the passage of President Biden's bipartisan infrastructure law and the Inflation Reduction Act, we're getting closer back up to that infrastructure investment level that made America the envy of the world. That cannot be a one-time thing. I hope that the projects that we complete with this once-in-a-generation opportunity become not once in a generation, but become the norm of reinvestment in America and our infrastructure. And so thank you all for your support and partnership in this effort, and look forward to what's next.
Thank you very much, Carl. In the shadow of our shared reservoir representing over 60 years of common goals and partnerships, I would like to invite the Director of the Department of Water Resources to the podium, Director Carla Nemeth.
Thank you, Adam. It's a pleasure to be here. I feel a little bit like a vampire out of the shadows. Just a few thoughts, picking up on what so many have already expressed. This is really about partnership for the state of California. We are investing $20 million with our partners down the road, the Turlock Irrigation District, in 2 solar-over-canal projects. Not just floating solar, and we're very eager to understand what we learn from that project, but some of the fixed solar and flexible solar, to see how it will work and to see whether or not we can scale it up here in California. And it's not going to surprise too many of you to know that sometimes, we get a little stuck in our ways. And so I want to just thank the governor and Congressman Huffman and Costa for their leadership and really seeing into the future and understanding that now is the time to roll up our sleeves and do the work we need to do to test these new technologies, because it's these technologies that are going to propel California into the future. And we are pioneers here in the state of California, and I couldn't be prouder to be part of this partnership with you all here today, with the local water districts and the leadership both in Washington and in Sacramento to make these projects a reality. We look forward to breaking ground on the 2 state-funded projects later this year, and we'll have information to share with our colleagues at Reclamation, and we'll be ready to go into the future to bring this renewable supply online and really do the important work that we've been talking about for so long, for so many decades. What does it mean to help solve the energy-water nexus? And we need it now more than ever. This is truly an all-hands-on-deck moment, and I look at this group, and this is the group that's going to get it done. So thanks to all of you, and thank you to Adam. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. Well, thank you, Carla. And next up, I would like to invite San Luis and Delta Mendota Water Authority's very own board chairman, Chairman Cannon Michael, to the podium.
Well, thank you, and I agree with Congressman Costa. I definitely think we have the A-team here today. It's amazing to see the leadership from the federal side with the commissioner here and a lot of her excellent people, Director Stock and Michael Brain, all the Kristen White I saw earlier somewhere as well, and so great leadership there. And to have Congressman Costa, Congressman Huffman here, and the governor, it's amazing to come together on a day like this. But and also a lot of water friends, water managers from the area who are leaders in the space. I'd also be remiss if I didn't mention that we have a lot of the San Luis and Delta Mendota Water Authority employees here, and I always think about them because thank you. I think oftentimes as a farmer, I feel like people don't understand where food comes from, but I certainly also feel like our employees that have their hands on the levers for a lot of these pieces of infrastructure, they don't get the credit for what it takes to deliver water. And I'm not sure if everybody's familiar with the Water Authority, but we're delivering water not only to agriculture, but we are delivering to the refuge complex here, the second largest contiguous wetlands in the United States, and we're delivering to the tech hub of the world, the Silicon Valley. 2 million plus residents who are getting their water from this system. And so we've got a wide reach and a lot of important folks and working for us. And so it's great to be a part of this. We're innovative folks. I certainly wish that there was some folks from the University of California at Merced here to speak. I don't know if any of you have had the chance to go over there lately, but it's really blossoming into something that we should all be really proud of. It's becoming an integral part of the UC system and really providing such an educational foundation here in the Valley, and a lot to be really proud of. And so to have this collaboration happening alongside them is something that's really, really meaningful. And I think Adam said earlier something about everybody being happy about rain. Me with little tiny watermelon plants and tomatoes in the ground, I was a little nervous this morning about the rain. So it is wonderful to have the rain. I did want to equate, our farm is just like many, has invested in technology over the years, and I think that's what's going to keep us in business. But the marriage between water and solar is something that we're also doing on our own farm, where we have invested heavily into drip irrigation, which requires a power element, and then we're offsetting the cost of that with solar. But those investments only work if you have the water to put through them. And I guess my thought is to not be negative on a positive day, but I think what we've seen with being blessed with 2 years of very strong positive hydrology in a time when we have a lot of variables, it's been a little challenging for a lot of our members to see lower allocations. And so I know that we need to find ways to improve the system. And I make these comments also with the acknowledgement that behind the backdrop of all this is an environment that is also struggling. And so I think we need to recognize that. But when you have an A team assembled, I think you want to try to do some calls to action. And I think the call to action is we need to help California, not just continue to be a great ag state, but be a great urban and environmental state. And that's only going to come with investments in water infrastructure. And I appreciated your comments about the aging infrastructure. As you got to see on the tour, we have some pumps and things that are coming to the end of the service. We have the entire system, I think, was built and is coming to the end of service. So we're going to need significant investments to keep us moving forward. I think we have the intestinal fortitude to be the leaders in modern transportation, that we're seeing the investments being made in the Valley to lead that way. And I certainly think we are worthy of making the investments into our water infrastructure so that we can lead California into modern water infrastructure as we go forward. And all those investments have multi-benefits to urban, ag, and environment, which again fall underneath umbrellas of agencies like ours. And so I won't take any more time, and appreciate everybody being together, and just excited for projects like this, and also excited to roll up our sleeves and dig in on some of the big projects that we have to get done as well. So thank you all.
Thank you, Cannon. Just for clarity there, I said you can't complain about the rain, but we can all worry about your tomatoes. Our last speaker really needs no introduction. However, the show needs to have some kind of flow. So with great humility and respect, I invite the Honorable Governor Gavin Newsom of the magnificent state of California to the podium.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you all very much. It's a privilege to be here, and I just want to thank our two congressional representatives for your stewardship, your leadership, your faith, devotion, not just to this cause, but the cause that really unites this country, and that's the work you did on the Inflation Reduction Act, the Chip and Science Act, and the remarkable investments that we're making, as you said, 1.2 trillion, remarkable, 550 million new, but 1.2 trillion dollars in the infrastructure bill, which is extraordinary. We're all the beneficiary of that, and that's the spirit that brings us here. Also want to thank Carla for acknowledging the work as a state that we're doing to complement this work. I think it was in February 2022, we set aside a $20 million appropriation, and we began the contract process and started to do these designs, which you see here on your right, on my left, which we will finally pilot later this year. It's been a stubborn process, and Carla alluded to it. There's some folks that let's just be candid, don't want these damn things near their canals. So we had to work to convince them that these are pilots. You have to have an open mind, Innovation is change. We recognize change as its enemies, but this is a no-brainer. This is common sense, as Jared was saying. I mean, it just makes sense to do something that has so many co-benefits. In fact, it took the dollars and cents that was invested, and Jim, you deserve an enormous amount of credit for getting UC Merced up and running, but they put out a study in 2021 on the feasibility of this, and you couldn't read that without thinking, where the hell, why would we do this 25, 30 years ago? And they set forth just some common sense that some estimates that 1% to 2% of evaporation benefits would generate savings about 65 billion gallons a year, enough for 2 million people. The benefits of the cooler flow, because the water flowing underneath the canal, the coolness, about 10 degrees cooler than your solar would be if it's on top of your roof or on the ground, it's going to generate upwards of 3% more efficiency, so greater output with the PV. The benefits, as we've seen in India, that has done a lot of this work. They're one of real interesting international leaders with all of these weeds, have had benefits for their pumps, have benefits for their drainage system and the like. So there's costs that are benefiting from that. Some have observed cynically, well, this costs a little bit more than land-based solar. Well, that's right on the front end, but when you accrue all of those benefits on the back end, this is a huge cost benefit. And I won't even discuss the avoided cost of conflict, which is not insignificant, and I'm living this as it relates to large-scale solar all over the state of California, which has not just issues out there in the Mojave Desert, but a lot of issues with our agricultural land as well, where people are saying, now you're competing with our agricultural output. And so that's another benefit of this as well. So we're excited and we're enlivened by this, but we're also in the spirit, and I'll close on this, excited and enlivened by what Cannon said. I didn't take that personally. I took that not even as a challenge, as a compliment, what he said, the work that we are doing, unprecedented work to modernize our water infrastructure in the state. Just 48 hours ago, we were up at Phillips Station up in the Sierras, 113% of normal this year. We like that. It was a good data. We're getting the I think there's 259 other source spots to get the actual snowfall for the entire state. We'll get that number updated very shortly. But we announced a 5-year plan, our 5-year water plan, which built on our Higher and Drier 2040 plan, which we put out a year ago, which built on our water resilience portfolio plan, 142 action items from a year prior to that. Unprecedented investments being made now in our infrastructure, recognizing the importance of investing in the future and technologies and resilience, including, I know it's controversial, but the Bay Delta conveyance, and moving that project forward, which would address a lot of the extreme flow issues that were referenced just in the last 2 years, and the old binaries that we're moving past as it relates to that modern system of conveyance, the work we're doing on the voluntary agreements, the work we're doing to streamline the development and time to delivery of these projects. The first beneficiary of that new permitting reform, which was Sites Dam, first above ground dam that we will be building in the state in half a century. The benefits now we're seeing with that project all across the state on battery and solar storage projects and others projects. I can go on. So I'm really proud of that work. $9 billion of proof points just in the last 3 years, 36 months. Additional $9 billion of new general fund money that we've invested. 20 million, as I said, modest part of that $9 billion that went for our project, Nexus, as we call it, in partnership with Turlock Irrigation District. So we're excited about this. We'll see which one. These things seem a hell of a lot easier than those over there. So I'm inspired by this. We want to thank our partners at Reclamation. But more importantly, thank all of you for being willing to do this and iterate with us. And I couldn't agree more with what was stated. I think we're going to look back at this moment and wonder again what the hell it took us so long, but also be very, very proud of this moment and the progress we're advancing and announcing here together today. So thank you all very, very much.
And we've got a beautiful rainbow.
I saw a video attacking me the other day, and this guy was in his backyard and he saw this rainbow. He said, "I can't believe these guys shoving down my throat this LGBTQ agenda. I can't even go in my own backyard. That Newsom needs to be recalled." I'm saying that's what he said. So anyway, I'm commenting about that because one thing I've learned, because I drive up and down the states, so Jim doesn't have to impress me with flying over. I drive through. I told him a few years ago, I said, boy, I'm getting real popular out here. My name is appearing everywhere down Highway 5. I realized quickly it was for different reasons. Anyway, it's always good to be back here in the Valley. With that, I think we're all up here to answer. Correct? Yes. Any questions that any of you may have?
It wasn't meant.
Thanks for doing this. It's really cool. All right, Jim, you're taking the questions.
All right, who's got some questions here from the press?
Yes, Governor Newsom, Travis Gilmore with the Epoch Times, was hoping you could help our farmers and ranchers better understand how this could benefit them. They were really concerned about water issues, and this seems like an excellent project, something that could really benefit the state in terms of evaporation, like you were mentioning. How can we break this down so that the ranchers and farmers understand what this means for them?
Well, I mean, you said it at the end of the day. There's multiple benefits. Obviously, there's climate benefits, there's greenhouse gas benefits as it relates to new, clean, green energy. By the way, the estimates in the 2021 UC Merced report was 13 gigawatts. Put that in perspective, a gigawatt roughly plus or minus every year is the entire energy consumption of San Francisco. 13 gigawatts if we were able to provide this canopy for our canals all up and down the state of California. So you have that net benefit. You also have energy security in that respect as it relates to blackouts, issues related to microgrids, and the opportunity to connect this grid regionally and provide more security and more distribution in terms of that larger energy mix. As it relates to the issue, again, of land use, this is a benefit, existing built infrastructure, so you're not competing with other open space and species and endangered species and other environmental considerations concerned. The litigation posture is mitigated as a consequence of that as well. And as it relates to water and distribution, the evaporation benefits alone are profound and consequential. I think also in closing, the benefits also will accrue in terms of the maintenance issues, which I commented on, as it relates to the issues of invasive species and weeds. But also it will provide, I think, a deeper consciousness if we're able to really start building thousands of miles of these canopies. It also is going to provide a deeper consciousness of the deferred maintenance needs of this system itself and provide more, I think, support in understanding the critical nature of this conveyance system and the importance of investing in the future as well in the long term. Well, there's always that, too. I should have begun with the obvious. And, you know, look, I'll remind folks, we have 6 times more green jobs than we do all fossil fuel jobs already in the state of California. It's not, the debate's not even an interesting one to me in terms of how this transition has aided and embedded us. And as a consequence, some of our largest exports now are electric vehicles, 56 manufacturing headquarters just in the state of California. This entire space, the decarbonization of our grid and the work we're doing to change the way we produce and consume energy is creating an economic output and a competitive footprint for this state that in many ways is the envy of the world. So jobs are a critical, absolutely critical component of this as well. That's it?
You're cutting it off?
That cannot even be. I'm going to hang out with you two more often. What the hell is this?
Let me just mention one other thing. It's not only jobs and clean energy, but under Governor Newsom's efforts, California, over 30% of its energy is renewable. And when you factor that in and the direction, the trajectory that we have to go, not only is it jobs, but it correspondingly to water. We measure water in 10-year averages. And so the last 2 decades, we've figured out that the same amount of averages are not consistent with back in the 20th century. When the law of the river in Colorado was resolved in the 60s, it was estimated that the Colorado River would develop 17 million acre-feet on a 10-year average annually. Well, we've come to the conclusion that it really develops more like 10 to 12 million acre-feet of water on a 10-year average. So we're reassessing how we operate this incredible water system in California that is part of our rich heritage. I mean, if you want to understand how California developed post-World War II, it's how we've managed water. And we've not been doing the sort of job that we need to do to invest. That's changed. And so that needs to be factored in as well. So we thank the governor, we thank our colleagues at the state and the federal level. We got some more work to do.
I just want to mention one more benefit here that stands out. Photovoltaic solar electricity is the cheapest electricity you can find right now. And one of the largest consumers of electricity, I believe the largest, is the state and federal water project that moves all of this water over vast distances up over mountain ranges. If we can power more of that with cheap photovoltaic electricity, that is going to translate to lower energy prices for everybody, potentially even savings on the cost of water. So just wanted to throw that out as one of the many, many compelling benefits and why we need to keep piloting this and ultimately scaling this and achieving those benefits.
That's a great point. And by the way, and at peril now, I know you're all ready, but a proof point of what the congressman just said. A few years ago, we were, as we tend to be in August and September, very stressed, getting up to 52,000 megawatts of energy consumption. One of the principal reasons we didn't have any issues 2 years ago was because the State Water Project did significantly curtail that exact energy use. So that is a direct benefit. And I would amend all my comments and just go with Huffman's comments right there. Thank you all very, very much.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. I want to thank our speakers and our host, San Luis Delta Mendota Water Authority, for having us here today. We are going to take a few pictures here, but if you are looking to go home right now and when you leave, safe travels to wherever you're going. And thanks, that ends our show.